Good morning, children. Today we are going to do chapter 8 of science, body movements. Even when you are sitting absolutely still, you know that there are so many movements going inside your body. Your heart is beating, blood is circulating, lungs are contracting and relaxing, and you also must be blinking your eyes. Other than this, you do so many movements throughout the day. You walk, you run, you eat, you write, you carry things, you play, and you move from one place to another. Similarly, you must have seen many animals moving. Some of them walk or run like cows and dogs. Some of them fly like birds and butterflies. Some jump or hop like frogs and sparrows. Some creep, some crawl, some swim like fishes, and some slither like snakes. You have legs to walk, but some animals have no legs and some have many legs. But still their movement is not called walking, it is called crawling. Let's first understand the movements of a human body and then we'll see the movement of some of the animals. You can rotate your arms in almost all directions from your shoulder, but your elbows bend only in one direction, that is the forward direction. You cannot bend your hand backwards from your elbow. Similarly, your knees can only bend backwards. If you try to fold them upwards, you won't be able to. And just imagine, if your knee bent both forward as well as backwards, would it have been possible for you to walk? No, it won't be. So different body parts move differently, making our work easy. Some of the body parts don't move at all. People will know which way the body parts move. Like how do you move your arms, how do you move your ankles, how do you move your fingers or wrist, how does the movement of a knee takes place in your body, and so on. So fill this table. Now let's see the activity which is mentioned here in your textbook. If you tie a long scale or a wooden plank on your hand as shown in this picture, you won't be able to bend your hand. This activity explains that you can bend your body only at places where two body parts are joined or they seem to be joined. Like your upper hand seems to be joined to the body at the shoulder. So you can move your hands from shoulder. Similarly, your upper hand is joined to the lower hand at elbow. So you can bend your hands at elbow. These places are called joints. If our body had no joints, we would have been as stiff as a wooden plank, and there would have been no movement possible for us. You know that our body is made up of bones which are very hard, and because they are very hard, they cannot bend. But there are many bones inside our body, and wherever one bone is joined to the other, that is the place which is called joints. And we can bend our body only at these joints. All total, there are 206 bones, all of them joining to one another. So let's discuss some of these joints. The first one is a ball and socket joint. This is how a ball and socket joint looks like, and this is how it moves. As this ball is free to move in this socket, it can move in all directions. Similarly, the bones which are joined with ball and socket joints can move in all directions. Our shoulder and our hip bones are joined to the limbs with this ball and socket joint. And that's the reason we are able to move our hand from the shoulder in all directions, and we can move our leg from a hip joint in all directions. Next is pivotal joint. Pivotal joint is how it is seen here.
This joint joins the head to the neck. It allows to bend a head in forward, backward and sideways direction. In this joint, as you can see, a cylindrical bone rotates inside a ring, and so it can move freely in the directions forward, backward and sideways. Next is hinge joint. Hinge joins the door to the wall or the door frame, as it is seen here, and allows the movement of the door only in one direction. A similar joint is there in our body at elbows and knees and allows only the back and forth movement of limbs. So this is called hinge joint. So at our elbows and knees we have hinge joints. There are some fixed joints as well in our body. There are two or more bones joining together, but these bones cannot move. So such joints are called fixed joints. For example, the joints in a skull or in a rib cage. These bones also give a shape to our body, and this framework of bones is called skeleton. If you have ever seen an X-ray film, you must have seen the images of a bone there. You also must be knowing that X-ray are taken to find out the possible injury, and they show the shape of various bones in our body. Your hand is so flexible that you can hold various shapes and sizes of things. You can hold a thing which is as thin as a needle or something which is broad. And how is it possible? It is possible because there are many bones and many joints in these bones. Also, your wrist is made up of several small bones called carpals. More bones, more joints, and more is the movement or flexibility. Your chest cavity has a box or a cage-like structure made up of several bones. This is called rib cage. There are 12 ribs on each side of this chest, and they are joined to the chest bone in the front and the backbone at the back. This rib cage protects organs like heart and lungs. But at these joints, movement is not possible, so it is a fixed joint. When someone bends down forward, you can feel their backbone if you touch their back. Backbone is made up of 33 small bones joined together, and because there are so many bones and so many joints in our backbone, we are able to bend forward and backwards. If it was only one bone, it wouldn't have been possible for us to bend the way we can do now. The other two prominent bones at the back are shoulder bones. The bony portion below our stomach is made up of pelvic bones, and this is the part we sit on. A skull is also made up of many bones joined together, but they are immovable joints and they protect our brain. There are some additional parts in our skeleton which are not as hard as bone and can be bent. They are called cartilage. Like the upper part of our ear, cartilage is also found in the joints of the body. Movement of body is possible because of joints, but bones alone cannot move on themselves. It is the muscles that help in the movement of the bones. Muscles attached to the bones contract and relax, making those bones move. But muscles, they work in pair. When the muscle contracts, it becomes shorter and pulls the bone. At the same time,
another muscle attached to the same bone relaxes to bring the bone in its original position. The relaxed muscle will contract and the previous one which had contracted earlier will relax. तो जो मसल पहले रिलैक्स होती है वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो जाएगी और जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होती है वो रिलैक्स हो जाएगी. सो टू मसल्स वर्क टुगेदर to move a bone. But do all animals move in the same manner? Let's see the gait of animals, that is their moving patterns. If you have ever seen an earthworm moving, then earthworm doesn't have bones. Its body is made up of many rings joined end to end. It has muscles in its body. It makes its muscle long and short while moving. It first extends its front portion, keeping its rear portion fixed. And that portion it fixes to the ground. And then it fixes the front portion on the ground and pulls back the back portion forward. Its body secretes a slimy substance which helps in its movement. Also, its body has tiny hair-like projections which are called bristles, and these bristles help in gripping the ground. The earthworm eats its way through the soil, making the soil soft and fertile. Now let's see how a snail moves. The snail has a shell that it carries while it is moving. It is its hard outer skeleton, but this shell doesn't help the snail to move. This is the thick muscular foot of the snail, which you can see here. You can see the wavy motion in this foot. Can you see these wave-like motions? These wavy motions help the snail to move. It also produces a slimy substance which helps in its movement, making the surface smooth. Next is cockroaches. Cockroaches are very commonly seen insect. You must have seen them. They have 3 pairs of legs, that is, they have 6 legs, and on them they crawl. Also, they have 2 pairs of wings to fly. Its body is also covered with hard skeleton made up with a number of plates. And this hard skeleton helps it in its movement. Cockroaches muscles near the legs for walking, and they also have muscles which help them to move their wings, and because of that they are able to fly as well. You have seen birds flying, and also you have seen them walking or hopping. Some birds like ducks can swim as well. Why are birds able to fly? Even the big ones can fly because their bones are hollow, which makes their body light. Their forelimbs, that is the front limbs, they are modified into wings to fly. And their hind limbs, that is the back side of the limbs, or the back limbs we can say, help them in walking. Their shoulder bones are strong, and the breast bones hold the muscles which help them in fluttering their wings, so that they move their wings up and down to fly. Next are fishes. They have a streamlined body which is narrow at both the ends, and middle portion of the body is broader. This is called the streamline shape. This shape is such that water flows around it easily, and they can easily cut through the water while swimming. The skeleton of the fish is covered with strong muscles, and during swimming, These muscles make a front part of the body curve to one side and the tail part swings towards the opposite side. As you can see here in the image, if their head is tilted to one side, their tail is on its opposite side. So it forms a curve. And then quickly the body and the tail, they curve to the other side. Like if the head is tilted towards left, tail will be towards right side, and immediately after some time they'll turn their head towards the right and tail towards the left. This continuous motion gives them a jerk and pushes their body forward. And a series of these jerks make the fish swim. This is helped by the fins of the tail. Fish also have other fins on their body, which mainly helps to keep the balance of the body and to keep the direction while they are swimming. Next is the animal which all of us are scared of. And I hope you have never seen a snake. But a snake also has a typical way of moving. Snakes, they have a long backbone and they have many thin muscles. They are connected to each other even though they are far from one another. So these muscles, though they are far from one another, they are connected to one another. Muscles are also connected to the backbone, to the ribs and to the skin of the snake. Snake's body curves into many loops. These are the loops which it makes. Each loop, as you can see in this image, gives it a forward push by pressing against the ground. Since its body is long and it makes so many loops and each loop gives it a push, the snake moves forward very fast. And if it is moving in a straight line, it will not be able to move so fast. But because it makes loops in its body, it is able to move faster. So in this chapter, we have discussed a very few animals. There are many more animals and their way of movement is also different.